Ryan Mulhern, by the way, said to say hi to you guys.
Tell him Star Wars sucks.
Yeah, he'll cry.
I'm gonna grow up. What are you, 13?
With his Van Halen flip-flop.
You know what? The two of you can screw. Let's see if I ever say hi to them again.
No, we love Ryan.
Welcome to Carpooling with Ben. Folks, you may have seen a Facebook invite from time to time or a flyer in your local convenience store or just up in a community area. Funny for Funds. Joining me are the two founders of Funny for Funds, Mike Murray and Bill Simons. Mike's in the front.
That's
Bill's
me.
in the back.
In the rear.
This is like cash cab.
Well, exactly. It's an Uber with dignity. So Funny for Funds has not been around that long.
October 4th will be 4 years.
4 years.
That's incredible. And you're closing in at raising close to, you're almost at $4 million raised over those 4 years.
Crazy, yep. It's $4 million for groups and causes. The shows average about $6,000 after all expenses. We've done over 375 shows.
How did this whole organization, how did the whole thing start? Because you're both professional stand-up comedians,
Correct.
By trade. And that's your craft. You've both been doing it for how many years?
Well, I've been doing it for 10 years. Bill's
Myself
just a
about
little
8 years.
shorter.
Okay.
Yep.
So how did you go from just telling jokes on your own and doing your own thing to, earning this pure heart of gold and helping all these organizations to raise close to $4 million?
Mike was doing a lot of fundraisers in northern Rhode Island, Johnston. And
We had no
Norfolk.
name for it. It was just like Mike Murray and Friends and a comedy night fundraiser.
And I was doing fundraisers in the Warwick area a lot. And one day we met. Funny for Funds was started in the men's room at the North Kingstown Country Club because I was
place.
Yeah, good place. Insert
there
your joke
often.
there. And I was doing a golf benefit, and after the 18 holes, I was playing in it for raising money. And
he was doing shows, right?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. I'm gonna pause it right now.
Okay.
He was doing shows and he was getting these big shows and everything. And I'm seeing everybody on Facebook, oh, I'm working with Bill Simons for books. I'm like, whoa. And so when I saw him, and like, he said he had to tell me who he was because I didn't know who he was because his head's big. His head's bigger in real life. Anyway,
he walks into the men's room, and I'm walking out, and I'm like, "What are you doing here? You don't golf." And he's like, "I'm actually doing 5 minutes of material."
I was doing material at the thing he was golfing at.
So, in the men's room that day, he says to me, "I have an idea that we should talk about. When can we get together?" And then, the amazing part was that Thursday after the Sunday fundraiser, I had a headliner coming in and he ended up getting sick. I couldn't make it, so I was like, oh, let me call Mike Murray. It's the first time. So he
Finally.
Yeah. Only because someone got sick. I mean, I didn't really want Mike. I went to my plan B. So he comes to the show, and it was at the Warwick Knights of Columbus.
I
in
was
San Diego.
skinnier too.
He was like at least 70 pounds lighter. This is 2,100 containers of cheese balls later. So he says to me, before the night is over, we have to talk about my idea that I want to pitch to you. And after the show was over, we went across the street, had a beer, and it was born that night. And I said, I'm all in. Let's just do it. Because the word he said to me, or the phrase was, between your following and my following, your fundraising and if we combine forces, we could create a monster. I just never knew 4 years later we would be nationally trademarked all throughout New England. 4 million, helped raise 4 million, and growing. It's just been, what a ride. It's been incredible.
Well, you think about all the fundraisers that have transcended the years. I mean, there's always the Girl Scout cookie sales is perhaps one of the most popular ones.
Which is pretty good too.
Yeah, no, that's God bless him for doing that.
He likes to tag along.
Somebody's got to sell the cookies. I'll gladly stock up on the Thin Mints. You have the Boy Scouts when they do their popcorn tins.
Yep.
And you have all these different fundraisers that are out there, but a lot of things have just changed in this world in general, and whether it be GoFundMe or the different programs that are out there, you guys still bring a level of you're getting something for your donation and you're getting a good quality product, because if the show is for a football team on the other side of the state, I don't know anybody on that football team. I could still go to that show, though.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's the attraction of the show. So how does it work?
So what we did was we created not only a great comedy show, but make no mistake, it's a fundraiser with a comedy kicker.
Correct.
That's what we tell a comedy kicker. We'll put a 90-minute show on, but what the big part of Funny for Funds is, for one flat rate, which averages out to be less than 25%. No fundraising company can make that claim. You can sell cookie dough for the rest of your life and you're going to give them 60%. You're going to send 100 people today to Pizzeria Uno, Ruby Tuesday, they're going to take 80, 90%. We're going to provide, and all they do is give you a sheet of paper and you draw business to them.
Right.
We're going to give you the stage, the lights, the sound, the backdrop. We're going to MC your whole event. We're going to create the Facebook event page. We're going to have online ticket sales where people can buy a ticket, make a donation, or become a sponsor all online. Plus, we're going to create the flyer for you. Plus, the main thing about our fundraising company is this. With over 670 shows under our belt, we saw everything. We know what works and what doesn't work, so we have a pep rally. In that pep rally, we teach, which is about an hour long, where the clients come, we show you all the things that works. Look, if you do this, you will be successful. If you don't, if you're one of those clients that say, we know what we're doing,
Yeah.
you're not gonna make that $6,000-$7,000 after all expenses.
Right.
But when we do have those, and we kind of joke, among ourselves. They say, "Well, we know what we're doing." I say, "All right, you've done 5 fundraisers. That's adorable. We're gonna do 5 tonight."
Yeah,
so
it
it's
really
like,
is.
and we have 95 comedians now in our stable
Wow.
in 7 branches all over New England. So it's growing. It's a great model, but the best thing is helping people too.
Also, too, Ben, is we average, 5,000-6,000 ish per show, but we've had a lot lately over the last couple of years, 10s, 15s, 20s. We have the record breaker right now is a young girl in Warwick who had a baby that needed surgery immediately, 3 surgeries.
Laughs for Leo.
Laughs for Leo, and for hydrocephalus, which is water on the brain.
Okay.
She literally took it on herself and her family. The community came together, and the record right now is 33,700 in one night, and it covered her surgeries. And to this day, she's a huge fan of our company. And every now and then she'll post something, and we'll just shoot her a message to say hi. So it made front page in one of the sections of the Warwick Beacon. So people were really affected by that show. And you do enough of those, and you realize that one of our mottos is we don't book shows, we book moments.
Exactly.
Mike and I have filled up so many times on stage.
Oh.
Eyes, tears come down, revealing a check. Because it's not. And listen, they're not always shows that are
for a football team.
Right.
It's for a wheelchair van, somebody's sick or somebody passed away or medical bills. Like you said, we book
sports
moments.
teams, churches.
Mm-hmm.
We raised $250,000 for churches last year.
Wow.
Because a lot of our comedians, it's about 100. What do you say, 95? About 100. We can do PG-13, R, and I think we're most proud of is that, we can do a clean show, but our R-rated shows, we're very protective of our brand. No N-word, no C-word, no abortion jokes, no rape jokes. Like, we really want to let people know you can be adult and still be palatable and not crude.
Right.
So, and we're very protective of our logo on the stage. We want to be sure they're likable on stage and likable off stage.
Well,
that's key.
You've talked about building this brand. It started hyper-local.
Yep.
It's regional at this point, and you're even working now on a national platform because there are, let's face it, there are franchising opportunities. There's no reason why a person on the West Coast can't use this model that you guys have built, and for you guys to take it to that level.
And
so
we're getting those calls.
The bottom line is, and I have a little bit of experience with events and fundraising, the devil is always in the details. And for somebody to take the template like you guys have taken it and say, do this, we'll help you, do this, it's a no-brainer at that point. I mean, we're talking close to $4 million. That's a lot of money.
It clearly works.
And there's no corporation. They're all mom and pop type situations.
Sure.
There's no CVS came in and they raised no, these are all 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 at a time.
Let's talk about the comedy material. If I could just go off for a second off that topic of Funny for Funds, because it does tie in. What is it like being a comedian in today's world where it seems to me like the low-hanging fruit is the political stuff, and Is that looked at as that way? Like, is it still a challenge to come up with
I'll
great
let Mike
quality?
start this one. Go ahead, Mikey.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up.
Everybody does a Trump impression. I get it.
Yeah,
you know, it's, but at that point, it's,
and don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
As comedians, we get the whole artistic value of being a stand-up comedian too.
Yep.
However, what we do is we have clients that come to us and they're seeking a certain type of comedy that won't offend their group of people that will be buying tickets to their fundraiser. So we have actually contracts for our comedians and one of them is no political jokes.
Wow.
Because you don't want to alienate, you'll never get 100% of your audience in any show, anywhere. But why risk alienating 50% of your audience by doing, even if it's the greatest political joke on earth, there's arguments all day long on social media.
Oh, yeah,
so being a comedian actually is becoming a very scary thing to know the layperson, where they might not even want to go to a comedy show because they see all the national headlines about comedians doing such rotten things. But and that hurts the local comics, I believe.
Yeah.
But we're trying to buck that trend, trying to prove that, hey, when you come to one of our shows, no matter where it is, you're going to see a show that's not only funny, but didn't cross any lines.
Yeah.
Because it really truly is about the client.
Getting back to the Funny for Funds, when people work with you, having that team of 95 plus comedians, and I'm sure over time it will grow and that may flux. You guys can be doing multiple events in one night.
Yeah,
really.
Mike and I have the ability right now to, in Rhode Island, do up to 6 shows on the same night, going on at the same time in 6 different locations. There's been times where Mike and I recently had to do 7 in one night, and I looked at him, I'm like, oh my God.
We're never supposed to go over 4,
Yeah.
but I'm notorious for double booking and triple booking.
Well, sometimes the stories, they're either time sensitive or they really pull at the heartstrings.
Actually, this past summer, we had a good friend that we met through one of the local Elks lodges, and he requested us.
Saw this guy, like, everybody knows that the bulk of our shows started out at the West Warwick Elks. Mm-hmm. This gentleman was a member there. So he saw us grow from like day one. So
and he was a great guy, very supportive, and ended up, getting cancer. 3.5 years later, almost 4 years later, we are who we are now in the community, and he requested that we do a show to help him raise money for his medical bills. And the family called me and said they don't even know if he was going to make the show. Because he was getting worse.
I suggested let's Skype it to his room, hospital room. Keep him comfortable and everything like that.
He was adamant to be there. Yeah. And so as the show was doors were opening, I see both glass doors open, and they wheeled him in his chair. And I went up to say hi, and I said, I'm so glad you made it. And he's like, I wouldn't miss it for the world. I love you guys. And then he said something that I think I can get through this without tearing up. Sure. He said, this could be my last belly laugh on this earth.
Wow.
Please don't make it sad. Just make me laugh tonight, and let's do this. Man. We made it through the show, and he was laughing through the show, and he, the next morning, the family called me. He passed away the next morning. Wow. It was the most, and they had a birthday party for that. Birthday party for him, right? So Mike and I were talking about.
His last night was at our show, and oh my God.
Sometimes nature's smarter than we think, where it's almost like he held on for the show and his birthday party with all his friends.
That is.
And the next day, right, we went to the wake, and the son came up to us. I think as I'm talking about it, I'm not crying. So, all right, Mike, know what? You talk, so I can cry. But the family, it was just, and one of those moments where we're not just a fundraising company. Like, we are really, Mike and I put as much effort and passion into everything that we do with this company so that people remember us down the road. And anytime we've had a few people pass, Mike and I put on nice polo shirts, with our funny, and we go, pay our respects, and and families are like, "Oh my God, you showed up!" I said,
I'm constantly like,
family.
We'll get a text or an email from a client or somebody who was at a show, and I'll just forward it to him, and I'll say, "Never forget why we do this. This is why we do this."
Sure.
And even as new branches come on, it's kind of hard to tell them, say, look, you're not just putting on a comedy show. Understand that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We're much more than that.
Well, you're creating moments.
Exactly.
You're creating
and on the flip side, and again, they're not always said. We've gotten letters from people who their cheerleading team goes to Florida and they raise $16,000 and they just send us a thank you letter.
Wait. When we did a couple shows for wheelchair vans, and here's a cool story. We did a show for Evan Hardin, great kid. He needed a wheelchair van. How much did we raise? Like 20,000, or 15,000. 15,000.
Oh, that's right. Someone donated.
Yeah, he got his wheelchair van. First thing he called us up and said, "Hey, want to go for a ride in the wheelchair van?" Oh, it was awesome.
That's
so
awesome.
we went for a ride in the wheelchair van, and now and me and Evan are totally. He's a junior in high school right now, and we're constantly talking back and forth. But he wants to try comedy.
Oh, that's great.
So his goal in life is to be a funny for fun's comedian. How cool is that?
That's awesome.
It's just really cool. So it just goes like there's so many things that happen at our shows, and we're constantly saying we don't book shows, we book moments. And there was another girl, Janelle. This was I think in the very beginning, that showed us like, all right, this is different. We didn't expect this. We really didn't expect it. She threw on her own show by herself. She's in a powered wheelchair. She wanted a manual wheelchair for more independence.
Wow.
You believe that?
Jeez.
Then at the end of the show, she's next to the stage. She wants to tell a couple jokes. And me and Bill were just crying like a baby, crying like that was the first show that we really saw. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, it was a business.
Sure.
But then that was the first show. Was like, we got something different here.
Yeah.
And we just cried like babies. She was talking about how lucky she was and everything like that. And here we are. We were complaining about waiting in a drive-thru or something, and you're helping somebody trying to be independent and go from a power wheelchair to a manual wheelchair, and it's just amazing. It's just a really, really great feeling, and we, it's just cool. Like people say, it's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. But when we're on stage, just like any other thing, that's the best time.
Sure.
That is the best, and it's all worth it.
And I think Mike would agree with this. There's a lot of people out there that fundraise.
Yeah.
And we have no issues with any of it. Like because if someone's fundraising for somebody, you're doing something good. But I really feel like Mike and I go the extra mile, and I think that's where the difference kind of separates us.
Sure.
Where we're meeting with them. Mike has actually gone to someone's home at 11 o'clock at night to help them with their raffles and put things together. And it's just, anytime in any business you go the extra mile, people are going to notice. But I think in the fundraising world, or just in the comedy world, a lot of times people get booked for a gig. They show up, they perform, they get paid, they go home. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's the
nature of the beast. But with the fundraising, Mike and I always said if we're going to do this, we have to.
I think getting into the comedy game older, after we had been married, adults, jobs, success, failures. I think that helped groom us how we are and how we treat clients, because we have all that life experience.
You've been through it.
Yes.
This is truly great stuff. I love the fact that you could probably either go to your calendar online, go to your Facebook page. I know we've talked about it a ton on the Wicked Roadie podcast I do with Mary Larson. The Cardi brothers always have it up on the What's Going On. A lot of people put the listing up on their website to help link and drive the attention there. And you could probably plan at least every weekend, from here to the end of the year, to go somewhere, enjoy a great quality show. You probably won't hear the same show twice.
No, with all the comics.
And you will truly be making a difference.
Anybody can
What's better than that?
Anybody can go to Funny for Funds, and we have the FOR and the number 4, but our logo is the number 4. .com. And click on Find an Event or book an event.
Yeah.
But if you got friends coming in from out of state, or let's go and listen. There's a lot of great things you can do. We got Comedy Connection, so there's live comedy everywhere. We support everybody. But if you want to go to an event and it's for the North Kingstown Animal Shelter and you love dogs or animals, that you can go there and get comedy, and your ticket is going. Towards so really, that's how we tried to model it.
Folks, find them online. You're not going to be disappointed. You're going to laugh. Chances are, at some of these stories, you might even cry, but that's okay because it's all for a great cause.
This was supposed to be a fun episode, Ben. You made me cry.
For my next trip, I'm going to take you to the DMV. It's like you're going to love it. It's a wonderful place.
Let's do it.
So,